Welcome back to Game Devs Play Games, where you can watch games rigged, game design. We are back with Tooth and Tail. This time Nathan's gonna probably fail.
Probably.
You came close last episode.
I
Three
did.
player.
We're doing
Wait
three.
a second.
Oh, I've actually never done a 3-player match, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean the 1v1 is such a small map. I assume it gets bigger with more players, but
I don't actually know.
I mean, are there teams ever?
You can do teams. We're gonna do a team after this. I've already decided we're doing at least 3 episodes of this.
I mean, I think it at least deserves that much.
We'll do the quartermaster. Boom.
So, do they have different abilities, or do they just have different units?
So they have nothing. It's all aesthetic.
Oh, okay.
So everybody has the same units.
They just
kinda
have a
wish
different
that there was a
story.
little bit of individuality with it. Like these stock are available to everybody, but then there's like 2 or 3 extra units that are specific per.
I mean, some would argue that that's what makes games like League of Legends successful, in that it has that huge variety. Others would argue that that makes an imbalanced game. I'm usually on the side of the prior. Honestly, I think that arguing that both sides of the playing field should have identical everything it's a very narrow perspective of game design, and you're taking the easy way out.
And game balance is going to be an issue if it is not completely. And I fully recognize that, but it also leads to individuality and also allows the game to live for a longer period of time. Plus,
Yeah.
it will be imbalanced for a while, but it will fix itself over time. Or rather, the developers will fix it over time. Or the players actually will often develop a meta that fixes it over time.
I mean, that's true.
So anyway, we did the Distillery Brothers before, so we're gonna do the Nomads of the North now. We're gonna do a specific build here. We're gonna do the Nomads, then we're gonna do the Volunteers. Now the Volunteers are pigeons that have volunteered for the Warfront, but all they do is they heal other units.
Oh, okay, so there's support.
Yeah, I think they poop on them or something like that. So,
Perfect.
So we're gonna do these guys,
Yes.
and then we're gonna do the Tooth Collectors,
Yes.
and then
I'm excited to see all of these, to be honest.
we'll pick up her, and because I don't have a good AoE after that, we'll do the Drumfire. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so the reason we're doing this build is because we have. So I mean, the volunteers are not great by themselves, but they heal your units. Mm-hmm. And although that's not very good for these guys, because these guys have no health. These have a little bit more, so maybe it'll be useful. But everything I chose has a high amount of health. So it'll be decent for these guys. It'll be pretty good for them. Be great for the Tooth Collectors. So we have some ongoing damage, and then we have our inmate here who will just wreck, and she has a ridiculous amount of health. Not as much as Mr. Butters, but still good amount.
I have a quick question. UI-wise, are they breaking it up from small units, medium units, large units, and then stationary units?
Basically, yes. Also, cost-wise, everything here, these units cost 20 apiece, or 60 rather for the Warrens. I think they as well. They cost 60, but these guys are actually individual. You don't create a Warren; you just create them on the spot.
Oh, gotcha.
And these all cost 120, and these all cost 180, and then these are varied, but they're stationary. So
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. We don't talk UI a ton on the show, but I think that was a smart choice. It's not necessarily obvious at a first glance, but after you've played the game, it kind of just makes sense.
and that it really helps me out, because when I was first playing, I was like, wait, what are the basic units? I don't know where. And then I looked at them, I was like, oh, those top ones, they're really cheap. Got it. Okay. And then I was able to make an assessment from there.
Does it say that on that screen if you hover over one of the units, what its value is?
No, especially because I don't have a mouse tracker to hover over them with. I can switch between. Or so it'll say their cost, the bottom right there.
I see, but when you're in that unit selection screen.
Oh, you can press X over them, or I guess another button on a controller to find out, it will give that synopsis of them and tell what their attack value is, what their defense is.
Gotcha.
All right, so I've have my farms built, or rather I've queued them to be built. I've only found Bella Feed. I don't know where Miss Hopper is. I'm guessing here.
Oh, right, because you have.
So there's 2 things I really wanted to talk about in this episode. Number 1, is how the fact that we actually have to physically move our guy around rather than using a mouse cursor. And although that's like, well, duh, Nathan, of course, that's what's happening. But the reason that's important to mention is because in most RTSs, you get to just insta teleport to parts of the map and select units. I cannot do that here.
Yeah, with a physical character, it requires you to actually, well, physical in terms of the game, it requires you to actually move around in that space in order to interact with things, which, I mean, that's pretty MOBA-esque, but like you were saying in the last episode, MOBA usually maybe focuses on one character in general. So, and that's what makes MOBAs interesting, is that it requires good communication across your team. If you play a MOBA by yourself, then it's going to be a wildly different experience than if you play with a coordinated team.
Oh, 100%.
At least ostensively. I can't speak out of personal experience, but yeah, I agree. I think that makes for a really... Oh, I see, you tore it down to rebuild your own.
Wait, what?
The, like, broken ancient grain mill.
the grist mill?
Yeah, like...
No, I built a new one here.
Yeah, you, like, broke down the old one.
Oh, yeah, that was just showing, like, that is where a grist mill spot could be.
I see.
So that's what it looks like.
When you teleport back to your main hub, if you get attacked as you're digging, will that cancel the dig?
It will cancel the dig.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
I think that's an important distinction, because otherwise it would sort of negate the point of you having to move around in physical space. I mean, only partially, but enough to matter.
No, and you know, and getting attacked and everything is not really the biggest deal. And you, oh, all right. Okay, well, good for you. Thank you for helping me out as well. And so it's like right now, obviously, like I could move around and scout ahead, and I could completely die here, and it really wouldn't affect too much. But as I said, that's why I think that you do get health back when you you do get food when you killed them. As I don't actually know, but I feel like that is the case, and if not, it should be, because it would incentivize the player to try to not die.
Yeah, I agree.
So that drum fire cannon, these things are very, very helpful, very powerful. Unfortunately, it wasn't well placed, but...
Can you build, like, another one?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay. So it's not that you placed it and you're just forever done with it.
Boom, 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 boom. Look at that.
Wow!
Yeah.
Wow!
Yeah.
So when the screen flashes, is that your character taking damage?
It either... Yes. It's usually your character... Oh, crap. They attacked me consecutively. Well, this sucks.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay, I got it. We're good.
Nice. I'm surprised the other team attacked you, since they were already losing mills to the blue team.
Yeah, well, I guess I don't hold vendettas.
That's always one of the trickiest things about programming AI or even just designing AI for a game like this. It's like, how do you design it to feel like it has human behaviors? At least to the point where it makes sense for the strategy of the game. And I mean, there's a certain point where most players are going to say, like, well, you're not going to really grow as a player in this game unless you compete against other humans.
Oh, absolutely, because AI don't respond the same as humans do.
Do you think that AI is important, though, for a game like this?
Yeah,
There's a line of thought
I do.
that
I mean,
says
it doesn't have to
otherwise.
be the most complicated AI ever. The moment that gets built, I'll be in a much better position. There we go. We're good.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess it just has to be challenging enough to be interesting and teach you the ropes, so that when you do fight human players, you have at least some kind of groundwork.
Yeah, and I've really just been learning. Like, the amount of hours I put into this truly is nothing compared to what would probably be required in order to understand the full complexities of the game. Let's go with those guys.
Can you just build units anywhere?
In my territory, you see that line right there?
Oh, okay. Wow. So that's the other reason to get mills. is it expands your territory.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. And so you can build more things. Yeah, it's fine. A bummer, but...
What happens if you're building a unit and the mill gets destroyed and your unit is on the other side of that border?
What do you mean?
So, like, say that mill you just lost. Say you were building a unit, like, right at the edge of that border, and then that mill got destroyed and the border recedes.
I honestly don't know. That doesn't seem to happen very often. I think maybe it just becomes inactive. I do know that if the grist mill is destroyed, then all the farms attached to it are also gone.
Oh, that's pretty harsh. I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, I guess from a strategy standpoint, it doesn't make much sense to build most of your units right on the edge of a mill, because then they're just going to spawn and die.
Yeah.
Oh, so that whole mill is just done then.
Yep. So now the mill itself is useless to me, except for the fact that I can teleport straight to it. Okay, we're doing all right here. All right, time to rebuy this. Let's try this again.
It doesn't take much to buy a mill.
No, it only costs 60, and then another 60 per farm.
Yeah, I guess you lose all of the investment of every farm that was part of it. And then, obviously, it just takes time to rebuild it.
And this is where all the conflict's going to happen. If I can take out that mill right there, he's pretty much done. So there was another thing I said I wanted to talk about. We talked about the teleporting and how important that is to the game. Yeah, I can feel comfortable enough to build a couple of these. Another thing is you don't always want to efficiently use your resources like you do at the beginning, but then beyond that, you generally want to be... Let's destroy this. You generally want to be a little more careful about your utilizing your resources, because if you overexpand and then your farms run out or they destroy your farms, then you pretty much screw yourself. You starve.
Right, that makes sense. Oh, yeah, that's a fair point, especially because your farms can fall fallow. Is that what you...
Fallow, yeah.
Fallow?
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 Yeah, go bad.
Right.
Not make stuff.
Yeah, that's an I mean, that even works in conjunction with the short play periods. But yeah, I guess if you just like are maxing out all the time for the entire run, you could just run out of food really quick.
Yeah. Yes, you can.
Does that happen often, do you think?
I think it feels like it normally starts to happen around here. I'm happy that I was able to expand into that third farm right there. Because if I didn't try to take advantage of it, then I would have died, because my second farm's already pretty much done here.
Gotcha. Now, do you lose food per, like, every couple of seconds based on how many units you have active?
No, you just lose the food when you make the units.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm comfortable enough with.
So really, the point of starving is that you just can't build more units.
Yeah. Yes, but then once you run out of food, and then like, let's say your unit, a squirrel dies, and your game, or the game's like, oh, you need to make more squirrels. If you could physically, I can make 4 out of 6 down there.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
So it shows that I can make 4 out of 6. If I was out of food and it was trying to make, that 5th and 6th one, and it couldn't, then I would start starving.
I see.
Yeah, and then because of that, I'm not able to produce anything. I'm in a bad spot.
Yeah, I mean, systems-wise, you could even get to the point where you can't even afford to buy a farm.
Yeah, no, and exactly. It's once that happens, then your only chance is really to like start selling off warrens and hope that you can make a comeback. But usually by then, it's pretty much too late.
Man, that's pretty crazy. On paper, that might just look like a really risky design choice to make. But I think gameplay-wise, that forces some interesting challenges in a way that makes a more complex strategy. And I mean, like, I think players in general are going to be conscious of that as they play the game, especially after you do it once and you're like, that's something I have to be more careful about. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just wonder how tricky it was to find the right balance of that.
I imagine that there was a lot of test playing that they had to do.
Oh, absolutely.
He's probably going to make a move soon, but unfortunately I have to take this. what's cool about this is he's only guarding with squirrels, so once the squirrels die, the pigeons basically die for free because they don't have an attack, and then now I kill his farm.
Yeah, the pigeons just kind of stay over there.
Yeah, I mean, they try to heal the unit, and until they're told otherwise, they're just going to stay right there. That's why it's so important that you don't have a cursor, you're actually moving around on the field. So in this match, I clearly played very defensively. I let them kind of toil, and when they try to attack me, I just made sure, like, look how the range, it's crazy. I'm attacking his warrens from here.
With a defensive unit.
Yeah. The drumfire cannons are awesome. And really, I feel like nice. I feel that way about... get over there. I feel that way about like every unit whenever I use them in any game. I'm like, man, the skunks were really awesome today. Oh, the tooth collectors are really awesome. Like, and that says something about the game that I feel strongly about a lot of units when I use them. I have a ridiculous amount of food, by the way. Like, I'm a bad player. I'm not focusing on... I should probably just like make units in here. You know, you haven't seen the badger yet, so we're gonna do that, and then we're just gonna win.
I mean, you were pretty much maxed out on units for a while there, so you just weren't generating new ones to spawn as soon as. Oh.
Do.
So UI is pretty straightforward too, which I think that's especially important for real-time competitive games. I mean, like, it's still important for a turn-based game too, but it's more important to be simple in a real-time game because it needs to be readable in a snap of a second. And I think they do a pretty good job. I mean, like,
portrayal of information is incredibly important in a game like this.
Yeah, food's easy to read. Your units are all pretty straightforward, and then I guess if you needed the breakdown of the type of units information on the right side, that info's there. But arguably that doesn't even have to be there after, like, if that's a component in the UI that could be disabled, I think that would make sense.
Yeah, because I'm not even paying attention to it. I mean, I don't really know the times off the top of my head, but I know how much these units cost.
Yeah, I guess the benefit of keeping it on screen is that if you needed that information, it's better to just have it on screen rather than to force the player to, like, hover over the unit with, like, the cursor or something like that.
I'm sorry, I have 3 badgers. I'm very excited.
This is awesome.
The thing about the badgers is that they can move and shoot.
Oh, whereas most other...
They have to, like, stop.
Ah.
Do. So basically what happened is Hopper got too aggressive and then not counter-aggressive enough, and then she, like, lost all of her shit. And then he, on the other hand, made too many units and stopped worrying about production and then just starved. And then now I'm eating them.
Yeah, was there any sense of where, like, the red player was? I didn't see red players out of the game kind of...
She started off somewhat in the center, which in a 3-verse match is a very big disadvantage. And then she spread to the bottom corner where it was safer. Which was smart, except for Belafie destroyed like 2 of her gristmills early in the game, but because of that, he overextended his army, and that's why I was able to punish him later for it, because he didn't expand.
Their army values were pretty consistent with each other, though. I mean, CPU 1, the blue one, was generally better off for most of the game than CPU 0.
I think that's because there was right about here. You can see that I made a dip and Red also made a dip, so that was at some point when she attacked me, I'm guessing, because I didn't really go on the offensive until the end there. So at some point she attacked me, lost a certain amount of units, and then he just expanded, and then at that point it was just GG for Hopper.
Yeah, and the nice thing about this chart too is it shows you how effective your strategy was. You chose to be defensive, and it's so clear that letting those two duke it out only benefited you.
Absolutely. I mean, and granted, if we were playing, I've already tried to play. I have not beat a hard computer yet. Only the step above. There's like 2 or 3 more levels higher in difficulty than what we're facing now. Once again, I'm not great at this game, but
I mean, it's a good sign though.
And I've only played enough, but not enough to be good at it. You can check income here, and this is where it got ridiculous, and then I forgot that I had money. But this is what 3 badgers looks like.
Wow. That's awesome.
So, yeah, that was that game, a Reverse. That's fun.
Yeah, no, that was super cool. I think that's where the game probably excels the most is on the more than 1v1 matches.
Oh, absolutely. 2v2 are some of my favorites. If I try to find online matches with other players, 2v2 are the ones I go with. The thing with 2v2s in this kind of game is that it becomes very one-sided. If one player's knocked out, it's pretty much GG.
That makes sense. Yeah. Unless the other player's really good at recovering some of their mills.
And in that case, if they're very good, then the other person didn't really matter in the first place, I guess. Except for being a meat shield, maybe.
That's fair.
So yeah, I've never seen a 2v2 match where it turned into a one verse. It's always been like they're 2v2 and the one player goes down and then it's over.
Do you think that's a bad thing, or do you think that's almost an expected thing?
I think in most games it's expected. Now, I know StarCraft had a thing where you could give the other player resources, and I used to play with my friend Justin, and Justin was good at StarCraft. Like, he was that close to hitting master level. So when we would play 2v2, I was only like Silver League, almost Gold League. Like, I didn't get very good at it, but it was in that level. Like, when we would play against other people that were better, there'd hit a certain point where I could only handle 2 to 3, or I could handle like up to the third base, and then I would start getting a little overwhelmed. So I would just start giving him money. Because I was like, I don't know what to do with this. I can't build things fast enough. I'm not good enough. Here you go. Here, take this money.
I literally can't jump around in the UI with this keyboard as quickly as...
And I'm going like, click, click. And so I would just start giving him money. But it was a little bit of a balancing thing because he was able to utilize his resources. They don't have anything like this. So it's in a weird way, every man for himself. But you're just not fighting the other person.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can talk about more of that. The next one's going to be a 2-verse. So
yes.
Yeah. Cool. Anyway, question of the day.
Question of the day. How does having the player and how they control their units moving around in physical space, I guess, make for
a unique experience?
Yeah, I was going to say that, and then I was like, maybe that's too broad, but it still kind of works.
That's what makes it a cross between a MOBA and a RTS. It has both elements.
Mini question of the day. Is this just a MOBA? Are we wrong about MOBAs?
No. Hey, everybody. Thanks, man.
Bye, everyone.